Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel, and this video is specifically made in order to tell you guys how to approach IELTS reading the best way possible. So a little bit about my background. I'm a PhD student at Nanyang Technological University in Singapore and also a PhD student in University of New Hampshire School of Law. And so I have an intensive background of teaching and being an instructor of IELTS. So I have researched, I have studied, and have done a lot of work in order to optimize the process of doing the IELTS reading. And so after watching this video clip, you can basically change the way that you used to approach of the IELTS question. And today I want to talk about the true false not given type. So in the past, I used to read everything from the top to the bottom and then go through all of the questions and start doing them. However, after analyzing the IELTS reading extensively, I have learned that there are many key components that we should know about the way that they format this specific test. So first, all of the answer is at only one point in the passage. So there is no correlation. You have to connect one point in the first paragraph and another point in another paragraph in order to answer the question. The answer is at only one location in the test. So imagine this, rather than going through everything from the top to the bottom, you go through all of the questions first, and then you pick out the best keywords that represent that question, and then you go through the essay, and whenever you see the keywords, you can stop there and just finish the answer. So the process is more optimized and more logical, so you will save a lot of time. And by doing so, it only costs me around 30 minutes for all the 3 parts, and the accuracy level is very high because I personally had a 9.0 on my reading score. So let's talk about the true false not given. So this is very important. You have to understand that the location is in order. So you will find the answer for the first question, and then you move a little bit down and you will see the answer for the second one. So it is very easy once you get a hold of the first question. So when you look at this specifically, okay, so the first question, people had expected Andy Murray to become the world's top tennis player for at least 5 years before 2016. So from a logic perspective, the easiest questions should be the 2, because it is basically the question that you are seeing here, and so you will find very easy to resonate with you once you read the passage. However, the case is very different for the false and also the not given. First, if you want to see the false answer, you have to basically negate this statement. So basically, negation is that you doing an opposite. You change the sentence from right to wrong. So you hold that mental vision of what is going to be a false statement. And then you have to read into the passage to find the location, and sometimes the negation process is not accurate, or you don't remember the information very correctly, and eventually you don't find the answer, and you mistakenly chose the questions to be not given. So that is usually the case for a lot of people. So I encourage people to be very precise with choosing what word you have to change in order to negate this statement. So yeah, for this specific one, it's not very hard. It's about the expectation of people toward the performance of Andy Murray in a specific period of time. So I think it is very easy to pick up the word or the phrases top tennis player. So what is the expectation of people? So did they expect Andy Murray to be the best player, or they didn't have such a high expectation for this specific player? That is the ultimate thing that would eventually give us the answer. Let's take a very close look. So the to and the phone's statement would look exactly the same except for the word top standard player. So if the not given option is something that is different from the to and also different from the phones, except for the word top tennis player, everything else would need to be present in the passage. If you do not find just one single word, it would mean that the answer would be not given, and that is how you pick out the keywords. So for this specific thing, I would pick up the years and also the time, because we cannot paraphrase this without leaving any traces. And if you don't see 2016, you also don't see at least 5 years before that. Eventually, you will choose the answer to be not given. And you also understand that you have to see this question, the first one, in the entire passage. So in the first passage, you will see 2016. In your head now, you only look forward to seeing the phrase 5 years previously. And if you don't see that phrase in this passage, immediately you will choose not given as your answer. So you will see the 5 years previously here. So you have to check the expectation. And basically, you can see the answer right away. He had to be regarded as a talented outsider who entered but never won the major tournaments. So basically, the expectation is completely opposite to the statement. Here, people generally expected him to be a good player. However, he would not become the top tennis player because he would never won any major tournament. So the information in the passage is completely opposite to the statement that you can see here. So the first question, the right answer is phones. Okay, move on. The number 2, the change that Andy Murray made to his rackets attracted a lot of attention. So you imagine yourself answering a question. How much attention did Andy Murray receive regarding the change of his racket? So it can be overwhelming, it can be very subtle, and that are 2 different ways to answer the question. So you would negate this statement by pick out the word a lot of attention. So if the change attracts a lot of attention, the answer would be 2. And it would be phones if this change did not receive a lot of attention from all the people. So for me, this sentence, I would pick out the word change and also the made to his rackets to be my keywords. And also I understand that the location for the answer of the second question, if there is any answer at all, it would be a little bit below the first one. So you would want to move down a little bit. So let's see. So moving on, I can see the changes here immediately. So I would want to look for the change specifically made to his racket. So you move down a little bit and you can see immediately the change to his racket. You can see here, while he continued to use natural string in the choruses, in 2012 he switched to a synthetic string for the men's. So he did actually change the racket. Let's see how much attention did he receive. And you can see a small change, perhaps immediately you can see a small change. Before this, you can also see this piece of information. Another change was so subtle as to pass more or less unnoticed. So the word less unnoticed is so different from the statement in terms of stating that the change to his racket attracted a lot of attention. So the second answer would also be false. Moving on, you can see the third one. So in this specific question, you can see here, most of the world's top players take a professional racket stranger on tour with them. So this basically a question about how frequent some of the top tennis players in the world would bring a professional racket stranger on tour with them. So if most of them do so, okay, you can immediately choose the answer to be true. But if no one is doing this, or only a very small proportion of players are doing this, you would choose the answer to be false. So basically, the true and the false option would look the same, and the only difference would be occurring at the word most. So I would pick out this word in order to be the keyword, and also I would pick out top players. If I don't see the word top players, the answer would be immediately not given. So this is very interesting, because in the case when the answer is not given, it would cause a lot of confusion, because you would want to reread the passage again, or you would gaslight yourself into believing that you would have to go very further down. And so how to establish a border between all of the answer? So you will see that the answer for the third question would not be below the fourth one. So you would go as low as the point where you see the keywords needed for the fourth question. I would also review the fourth question, and so I can take a look at all these questions at the same time. So when you see the number 4 question, Mike and Bob Ryan use rackets that are light in comparison to the majority of rackets. So when you see this, it is very easy to be done. So basically, this question is about the weight of the rackets of Mike and Bob Ryan. So if it is lighter, the answer will be true. But if it is a little bit heavier, you would pick out the answer to be false. So when you take a look at this, it's very easy. Pick out this word light, and then you will also pick out a couple of keywords in order to identify the location of the fourth question. So when you take a look here, I would immediately pick out the word Mike and Bob Ryan. It is a name, so basically you cannot change it. And also I want to pick out the word that would mention the weight of their rackets. So when you move into the passage, immediately you will go down. You want to go down from here, and when you go down to this point, you do not observe any immersion of the word professional stranger. So you will immediately doubt that, yes, the answer to the third question would be not given. And then you hit the phrases Mike and Bob Ryan. So you want to stop there. And the answer to the third question would be not given. And then when you see here, immediately you don't care about any other piece of information. You would immediately want to look for the weight of their rackets. So you can see the weight here. The rackets they use now weigh more than the average model. I just care about that piece of information. So the weight is not lighter. It is in fact heavier. So the answer would be false immediately. You want to move on to the next question. For the fifth one, very easy to go through. Warner Fisher played with a spaghetti strung racket that he designed himself. So basically it is about who was the designer of the racket of a specific player. So the name of the player must be in the essay. The spaghetti strung racket must also be in the essay. And then we will evaluate whether or not he designed himself or other people helped him in the process of designing this specific racket. So yes, this one is the critical point of this sentence. And I will pick out the keyword to be Warner Fisher and also spaghetti strung racket. So I would move along. I do see the name here. I do also see the spaghetti strung racket here. And so I want to see who was the designer. So when I take a look, I didn't find any piece of information that indicates the original designer. So I cannot answer whether or not he designed this himself or other people did design it. Immediately, I would choose the answer to be not given. You want to move along. The number 6, the weather can affect how professional players adjust the strings on their rackets. So when you see here, very easy to negate this statement. You want to focus on the word can affect. So if the weather does have an influence, the answer will be true. But if it does not have any influence whatsoever, the answer will be false. So very easy to find the keyword. I would pick out the word weather immediately. So when you take a look here, you want to move down just a little bit, and you can see this one. They will continually change it depending on various factors, including the court surface. Wow, here. So it does actually have an influence on the way professional players adjust their string. So the eventual answer would be true. And this is also the first true in the entire questions. So do you see that they don't actually want to put out a lot of true? True is very easy to choose. You also want to move on to the 7th question. It was believed that the change Viết Sampras made to his rackets contributed to his strong serve. So it is the answer for the question. What was behind the strong serving power of Viết Sampras? So it can be due to the change he made to his rackets, or maybe due to his change in the serving motion. Maybe he changed from using the trophy posture to a different one. So you cannot reliably choose this word to be the keywords, because it could be non-existent in the passage, and the answer would still be false. So if you pick out this word to be the keyword, you have to go back into the essay if they do not exist in the passage. So it would cause a lot of confusion as well as wastage of time. So I would pick out this, his strong serve, and also the name of the player, one of the best players of all time. So when you go down, you can see immediately the word Viết Sampras here. Yes, okay. So I will look forward to seeing the word strong serve, or I will choose this to be not given. So you can see much of the serving power. Let's read. Much of the serving power of United States professional player Viết Sampras was attributed to the addition of 4 to 5 lead weights onto his rackets. So basically, he made his rackets to be a little bit heavier, and by doing so, he managed to serve stronger. So the final one would have also a true answer. It is true that the change Viết Sampras made to his rackets contributed to his strong serve. So by doing all of the questions the way that I proposed to you, you can optimize the time, because you can basically forget about all of the irrelevant information, and you only have to focus on the important things. And why you know there are important things? Because you have gone through all of the questions yourself, and you have picked out the best keywords to represent each question. So it can save a lot of time. It can save your concentration ability, and it doesn't waste any of the resources from your perspective. And that is why I can split up the process of reading. And I hope that you guys will come back for further episodes about how I approach everything in IELTS reading. And I think by doing so, you can improve your score immediately. Please subscribe and also click on the notification button. Thank you so much.